Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously, don't scroll past this one. If you've ever wanted to feel like you're sitting in the film room with the coaching staff, breaking down exactly why this Broncos defense might be scarier than anybody in Denver expected, this is the video. Smash that subscribe button, ring the bell, and let's get into it because Broncos Country, we have got a situation on our hands. Picture this. Preseason Week 1. A game that half the fan base is going to write off as meaningless. Backups against backups, nobody's job is really on the line, right? Wrong, dead wrong. Because while everybody was watching the scoreboard, one Denver Bronco was quietly putting together one of the most dominant individual performances anybody in that building has seen all summer, and it wasn't the guy you think it was. It wasn't a first-round pick with a highlight reel already built for him. It was a third-year edge rusher who has spent the last 2 seasons fighting through injury, fighting for playing time, fighting to be remembered. And on Friday night against the Atlanta Falcons, Jonah Ellis didn't just remind Broncos Country he exists. He put the entire league on notice. Let's talk numbers, because the numbers are absolutely wild. 5 pressures, 5 hurries, a tipped pass, 2 stops. All of that on just 20 total snaps. 20. For context, Ellis had the 3rd most pressures of any player in the entire first week of preseason football, and he did it with roughly half the snaps of the 2 guys ahead of him on that list. That's not a good game. That's a statement. That's a guy walking into a building and saying, I'm not the 3rd option anymore. The analytics site that grades every single snap of every single player gave him a 91 overall grade. 91. A 90 pass rush grade. A 74.8 run defense grade to go with it. And here's the part that should really make your jaw drop. He didn't even record a sack. 0 sacks, and he still walked away with the highest defensive grade on the entire Denver Broncos roster for that game. Let that sink in for a second. In a league obsessed with box score stats, obsessed with the sack total because it looks pretty on a highlight reel, Jonah Ellis proved you don't need the shiny stat to be the most disruptive human being on the field. You just need to be relentless. And relentless is exactly what he was. Now look, is it preseason? Yes, were the guys across from him mostly camp bodies who'll never sniff an NFL roster in September? Also yes. But I'm not here to pretend that context erases what happened. I loved what I saw. And if you're the type of fan sitting there going preseason doesn't matter, it's basically glorified practice, I hear you, but I respectfully disagree, and I think what we saw from Ellis backs me up. Year 3 is supposed to be the year. The year the flashes turn into consistency. The year the maybe he could be special talk turns into he is special. After 2 seasons hampered by injury, it sure looks like Jonah Ellis picked week 1 of this preseason to remind everybody exactly what kind of player the Broncos drafted. And here's why this matters so much more than just one preseason box score. Because this defense might be walking into a real problem at the position across from him. Jonathan Cooper, one of Denver's key edge rushers, has a court date locked in for August 31st. That's just 2 weeks before the Broncos open the regular season against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now here's where it gets spicy. Broncos Country. The NFL has been handing down suspensions left and right this offseason because of an absolute avalanche of off-field incidents around the league. James Pierce Jr. got hit with an 8-game suspension for violating the personal conduct policy after a domestic violence arrest. And get this, the other party in that case is reportedly willing to drop the charges entirely if he completes a state-mandated course. He might not even face legal consequences. And he still got 8 games. 8. So when you connect the dots to Jonathan Cooper's situation, you have to ask yourself, is the league about to come down even harder, even faster on anybody with a pending case? Nobody knows the outcome yet. Could be 2 games. Could be 3, 4, 5. There's simply no way of predicting it right now. but you'd better believe the front office is preparing contingency plans, and honestly, so should you as a fan, because the depth chart at edge rusher might be about to get tested in a way nobody saw coming heading into camp. So let's talk about what that four-man rotation looks like if Cooper does end up sidelined to start the year. Nick Bonito is obviously the unquestioned who's who of this room, locked in no matter what happens elsewhere. But behind him, Jonah Ellis now looks like your clear-cut number 2 option in that rotation after the week he just had. Slide in K. Robinson at the 3, Dondre Tillman rounding out at the 4, and don't sleep on Drew Sanders sneaking onto the 53-man roster as an extra body at the position, especially with this level of uncertainty hanging over Cooper's status. Sanders actually recorded a sack of his own late in that Falcons game. And it's proof the coaching staff loves the trajectory of these younger edge players. And speaking of edge rushers with history in Denver, Von Miller. Yes, that Von Miller. There was real fan fantasy brewing about a homecoming story riding off into the sunset in the orange and blue one more time. Well, scratch that idea, at least for this season, because Von signed with the Dallas Cowboys. Sorry, Broncos Country, no fairy tale ending this year. But it does tell you everything you need to know about how the front office feels about their in-house edge depth. They didn't feel the need to bring in a marquee name because guys like Ellis are already answering the call. Now, before we keep rolling through everything else that went down Friday night, I need to pause for a second because this next part is important. Today's breakdown is brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. If you watched even 5 minutes of that first preseason game, you already know the level of high-flying, non-stop action we're getting all season long, and PrizePicks lets you get in on it. Here's the deal. Download the PrizePicks app, sign up using code MA, that's HMA, play your very first $5 lineup, and if that lineup hits, you get $150 in bonus lineups. Free money just for playing Broncos Country. That's how you know it's a good deal. My personal lineup heading into the season, I've got Bo Nix going over on passing yards, Jalen Waddle going over on receiving yards, and Bijan Robinson, who we didn't even get to see in that first preseason game, going over 1,100 rushing yards for the season. Copy that lineup in one click on the new social feeds feature if you want to ride with Uncle Moose all season long. Again, download the PrizePicks app, sign up with code MA, play your first $5 lineup, and grab that $150 bonus if it hits. Links are down in the description and pinned comment for you. PrizePicks. It is good to be right. Now, back to the chaos. Because the edge room wasn't the only story from Friday night. Let's talk about the guy who might have quietly had the single most eye-opening debut of anybody wearing orange and blue, rookie inside linebacker Red Murdoch. This kid was Denver's final selection of this year's draft, Mr. Irrelevant himself, and irrelevant is the last word you'd use to describe what he did against Atlanta. 8 tackles, 7 of them solo. He led every single defensive player on the Broncos roster in snaps, playing 47 total. 47. More than any other Bronco on that side of the ball. That's not a rookie getting mop-up duty. That's a coaching staff signaling they trust this kid to be out there closing on ball carriers and delivering punishing hits. And I do mean punishing. Every tackle this guy makes looks like he's trying to separate a football from a grown man's soul. PFF gave him an 81.5 tackling grade with a 69.4 overall. Now look, PFF isn't scripture, it's not the be-all, end-all, but it gives you a real snapshot of how a guy performed, and Red Murdoch gets 2 enthusiastic thumbs up from your boy Moose. If you're asking me to build the 53-man roster today, Murdoch is my 3rd inside linebacker, full stop. And unfortunately, that linebacker room needed a spark like this because Denver got some brutal news Friday night. Levelle Bailey, one of the more underrated coverage linebackers on this roster, broke his leg against the Falcons and is going to miss the vast majority, if not the entirety of the 2025 season. This one stings Broncos Country. Bailey was genuinely one of the better linebackers in this building when it came to defending the pass, and there was a real, legitimate path for him to lock down that fourth inside linebacker job. That opportunity is now gone for this year, and it's a gut punch for a young player who was doing everything right. Sending prayers and well wishes to Levelle Bailey for a full and speedy recovery. This game can be cruel sometimes, and this is one of those moments. But it does mean the door just swung wide open for other players in that room, and that's exactly where Red Murdoch comes storming in with his 8-tackle debut to make his case. Now here's a domino effect nobody's really talking about yet. Bailey's injury doesn't just impact the linebacker room, it shifts attention right over to the safety position, because that's where I think the real ripple effect plays out. The safety group didn't necessarily play badly against Atlanta, but outside of one specific player, nobody really stepped up and seized the moment. That one player? Jell Skinner. This man was flying around that field like he had a jetpack strapped to his back. Honestly, he plays so much bigger than his listed size, he looks and moves like a linebacker disguised as a safety out there. If you're ranking the safety room today, it's Talanoa Hufanga at the top, Brandon Jones right behind him, and J.L. Skinner rounding out that top three. But remember, Denver kept 4 safeties on last year's roster, so the real question becomes, who wins that fourth job? Right now, I don't think Miles Scott is quite there yet. Tyson Anderson is still developing. My money is on Devin Key claiming that spot, especially since he's a legitimate first-team All-Pro caliber special teamer, which pretty much locks him into the 53 regardless of what happens at safety in a vacuum. But here's my hot take of the day. I think the Broncos need to go out and sign veteran safety Taylor Rapp to come in and legitimately compete for reps. Why? Because we saw this exact problem burn the Broncos late last season. Brandon Jones went down with an injury, and Denver had to lean on P.J. Locke to fill the void. Well, Locke is gone now. He's not walking through that door. So if there's another injury at safety this year, and let's be honest, injuries happen every single season, who's the answer? Right now, I'm not sure there is one. Sign Taylor Rapp, let him push for that job, and let the depth chart sort itself out from there. This is exactly the kind of thing that decides whether a defense is elite all 16-plus games or completely collapses the second injuries hit. And trust me, injuries always hit. All right, comment section time, because I want to hear from you, Broncos Country. Who was your biggest winner out of that win over Atlanta? And don't get it twisted, win undersells it a little bit. Denver flat-out thumped the Falcons on Friday night. Was it Jonah Ellis and that ridiculous pressure total? Was it Red Murdoch going full headhunter mode with 8 tackles in his NFL debut? Or maybe you were locked in on someone else entirely that I haven't even mentioned yet. Drop it down in the comments. I read every single one of them, and I promise you I will be shouting out my favorite answers in the next video. This channel is nothing without you guys, and honestly, the engagement on these videos has been unreal lately. Speaking of unreal, let's talk numbers on this channel real quick, because you guys have been absolutely showing up. We picked up 402 new subscribers during preseason week 1 alone. 402. That is an incredible number, and it tells me Broncos Country is hungry for real, honest breakdowns of this football team. Not just hype, not just doom and gloom, but the actual truth of what's happening inside that building. So here's my new challenge for all of you. I want 500 subscribers by the end of preseason week 2. 500. That is the number, that is the mission, and I need every single one of you watching right now to be part of it. It costs you nothing. It takes 2 seconds. Hit that subscribe button before you close this video out, because we are building something special here, and I want you along for the ride. And believe me, you do not want to miss what's coming Friday, because the Broncos are hosting the Green Bay Packers at Empower Field at Mile High for the first home game of the preseason, and this time Bo Nix is actually going to be out there under center. We finally get to see our starting quarterback operate behind this offensive line. We finally get real answers on some of these camp battles that have been simmering all August, and Broncos Country deserves to be locked in for every single second of it. So if you want to be here for that breakdown, if you want the same honest, no fluff, straight to the point analysis you just got in this video, hit subscribe right now. It is completely free, it takes half a second, and it genuinely helps this channel grow into something bigger for all of us. Before I let you go, one more thing. We've got a jersey giveaway tied to hitting that subscriber milestone, so the sooner we get there together, the sooner one lucky subscriber is walking away with some brand new Broncos gear. That's real, that's happening, and it's only possible because of you. So do me a favor. Smash that like button right now. It takes 1 second and it tells this platform to put this video in front of more Broncos fans just like you. Drop a comment letting me know your biggest winner from Friday night, your prediction for the Packers game, or honestly anything Broncos related that's on your mind. I answer as many as I possibly can. And obviously, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown. We've got a long, wild season ahead of us, Broncos Country, and this is just the beginning. Until next time, mile high salute, be cool, and let's go get 500 subscribers together.